The United Nations has declared war on conspiracy theories, describing the rise of conspiracy thinking as worrying and dangerous, and providing the public with a toolkit to pre-bunk and debunk anybody who dares to suggest that world governments are anything but completely honest, upstanding, and transparent. The UN also warns that George Soros, the Rothschilds, and the State of Israel must not be linked to any alleged conspiracies. The UN has teamed up with Twitter, the European Commission, and the World Jewish Congress to launch the campaign dubbed Think Before Sharing, Stop the Spread of Conspiracy Theories. The UN wants you to know that events are not secretly manipulated behind the scenes by powerful forces with negative intent, and if you encounter anybody who thinks the global elite are conspiring to consolidate power and dictate global events, you must take action. According to the UN, if you're certain that you've encountered a conspiracy theory on the internet, then you must react immediately and post a relevant link to a fact-checking website in the comments. Never mind the fact that fact-checkers are mostly untrained and unqualified hacks, performing fact-checks from the comfort of their bedroom in between posting far-left political content on personal blogs and getting high. The UN also provided advice for anybody who encounters a real-life conspiracy theorist in the flesh. According to the agency, you must not under any circumstances be lured into an argument with a conspiracy theorist. Any argument may be taken as proof that you are part of the conspiracy and reinforce the belief, and the conspiracy theorist will probably argue hard to defend their beliefs, the UN says. Instead, you must show empathy and avoid ridiculing them. And if you're a journalist, you must report them to social media and contact your local National Press Council or Press Ombudsman. Remarkably, hidden in the fine print, the UN admits that conspiracy theories do exist. Under the heading, What is a real conspiracy?, the United Nations bureaucrats explain that real conspiracies, large and small, do exist. According to the UN, it's only a real conspiracy theory if it's unearthed by the mainstream media. The UN says, they are more often centered on single, self-centered events, or an individual like an assassination or coup d'etat. They are unearthed by whistleblowers and the media using verifiable facts and evidence. There's just one problem with the UN's definition of a real conspiracy theory. The media has been fully bought and paid for by the elite, and it's the elite who are conspiring against the masses. Ever heard of Operation Mockingbird? In the 1960s, you would get called a conspiracy theorist if you dared to suggest that the CIA was spying on journalists and controlling the mainstream media. In reality, this is exactly what was happening. Operation Mockingbird was a CIA op that spied on members of the Washington Press Corps in 1963, 1972, and 1973. They also paid journalists to publish CIA propaganda. Wiretapping of US citizens is against CIA code, but this is what they did. How do we know about this? Mockingbird was uncovered by the Church Committee after the Watergate scandal. JFK secretly recorded Operation Mockingbird conversations in the Oval Office, and they are now part of the presidential recordings. So sure, we should be trusting everything the media and fact-checkers say, right? It's not like they have a history of being manipulated by shadowy three-letter agencies and the global elite, right? But that was the 60s and 70s, and everything has gotten so much worse since then. In 2013, Obama signed legislation that repealed the US Information and Educational Exchange Acts of 1948, also known as the Smith-Mundt Act. So why is this important? Well, the Smith-Mundt Act was so-called anti-propaganda law that prevented the US government's mammoth broadcasting arm from delivering programming to American audiences. But on July 2nd, 2013, Obama quietly and deceitfully changed the law, meaning that the US government and the CIA could legally propagandize US citizens. Strangely, the mainstream media doesn't like to acknowledge this fact. But it suits government agencies and the United Nations down to the ground. Of course, they'll tell you to place blind trust in the mainstream media and fact-checkers, regardless of how many times they get proved wrong time and time again. Hunter Biden's laptop from hell, anyone? It took the media more than a year to admit that it was real. For a whole year, the media was telling us that the laptop story was Russian disinformation, and fact-checkers were censoring social media, scrubbing it clean of any trace of the laptop from hell story, for fear that it would damage Joe Biden's presidential run. In 1998, Noam Chomsky co-authored a book with Edward Herman called Manufacturing Consent. It blasted apart the notion that the mainstream media informs the public, serves the public, so that we can better engage in the political process. In fact, the mainstream media manufactures our consent. It tells us what their paymasters, the three-letter agencies and global elite, so that we can fall in line. Democracy is staged with the help of the mainstream media, which works as a propaganda machine. Mainstream media is not a check on power. The very system requires complicity. Governments, corporations, global institutions like the United Nations, they know how to play the media game. They know how to control the news narrative. They know how to manipulate and control the masses. They feed official scoops, official accounts, interviews with so-called experts. They breed fear because fear breeds compliance. If you want to challenge power, you'll be pushed to the margins. The CIA invented the term conspiracy theorist in the 1950s in order to denigrate those who dare to ask questions outside of the box and challenge the corrupt system. The United Nations war on conspiracy theorists is more of the same. They want to shame those among us who dare to ask questions and question the official narrative. Ask yourself, when was the last time the media unearthed a conspiracy? Also ask yourself, when was the last time the media covered up a conspiracy? The list is endless, but that's a story for another video.